They told him he was too young, too intense, too perfection-obsessed, and ultimately they expelled him from the very company he created. But what nobody understood was that the same guy they pushed out would return years later and transform the entire world. This is the incredible true story of Steve Jobs, a tale of rejection, reinvention, and relentless vision. When you hear Apple nowadays, you think of the iPhone, the MacBook, the Apple Watch. But it all began in a garage in Los Altos, California, where a gaunt young man with crazy ideas thought he could make computers personal. Steve Jobs was just 21 when he founded Apple with his friend Steve Wozniak. With them, they created something revolutionary, a computer that people like you and me could use. But Jobs wasn't constructing a machine. He was constructing a movement. Right from the beginning, Steve wasn't anyone else. He was demanding, ruthless. He pushed people to their limits. Many found him difficult. But for Jobs, it was never about being liked. It was about creating something worthwhile, something insanely great. At 25, Steve Jobs was a millionaire. By 30, he was on the cover of Time magazine. But at the height of success, something unprecedented occurred. His own company betrayed him. The board of directors determined that he was no longer qualified to run it. In 1985, Steve Jobs was ousted from Apple, the company he had built from the ground up. Imagine that for a second, building something from your soul, and then being told you're not good enough to run it. Most people would have given up, but not Steve. Instead of falling apart, he disappeared. For years, he stayed out of the public eye, quietly working, learning, rebuilding. He founded a new firm called Next, a small startup specializing in high-performance computers for schools. It was not a commercial success, but what he did there would eventually revolutionize the world. During about the same time period, he acquired a small animation house from George Lucas. That studio would go on to become Pixar. Yes, the same Pixar that produced Toy Story, Finding Nemo, and The Incredibles. While the world was convinced Steve Jobs had failed, he was secretly shaping the future. Twice. In 1996, Apple was in trouble. Sales plummeted. Innovation was lost. Desperate, the company took a step nobody saw coming. They acquired Next and hired back Steve Jobs. The man they'd once rejected was now their best bet. When Jobs returned, he didn't merely resuscitate Apple. He reimagined it. He streamlined everything, eliminating dozens of unnecessary products. He concentrated the company on a handful of core ideas. He fixated on design, quality, and user experience, and then came the resurrection. The iMac, the iPod, the iPhone, the iPad. Each one transformed an industry. Together, they transformed the world. Apple became the first trillion-dollar company in history, all because one man wouldn't get back down. Steve Jobs used to say, "You can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backward." When he was dismissed, he did not know why, but years afterwards, he saw it was the best that could have befallen him. It made him free to venture, to innovate, to think differently. It reminded him why he began in the first place. Jobs never returned to show people they were wrong. He returned to show that purpose and passion are stronger than rejection. Because every rejection lesson, every failure holds an opportunity. And sometimes the biggest defeats in life are just setting you up for your greatest comeback. Jobs schooled the world that innovation is not merely technology. It's about having faith in something so much so that you don't. Let go even if you get told no 1,000 times. Steve Jobs' story is not one of building Apple. It's one of building yourself time and again so that you become unstoppable. He demonstrated that perfection is not required to make a difference in the world. You only have to believe enough to persevere when others don't. The next time someone explains to you that you're not good enough, keep Steve Jobs' story in mind. Remember how he was fired, questioned, dismissed, and returned to shape an entire generation. Greatness doesn't come from comfort. It's constructed through rejection, and occasionally, being terminated from your own business is the best thing that has ever happened to you. Because when life knocks you down, you have two options: remain down or stand up and create something so strong that the world can't help but notice you. Steve Jobs stood up. He created Apple. He revolutionized how we communicate, how we listen to music, how we experience technology. But most importantly, he showed us that real success isn't a matter of never falling. It's a matter of never staying down. So keep going. Keep believing. Keep dreaming. Even when the world says no. Because one day, when you look back, you'll see that every no was just taking you to your final yes.